Hello, everybody, and welcome to GenFriends. I'm your host, Cheri Hudson-Passy from Carolina Girl Genealogy. And here we go with another fun episode tonight. I want to first introduce the panel. Eowyn, you are a panel member slash guest tonight. So thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Thanks so much. And you're going to talk about something new that you're doing, but she's also, you guys know her. She's the WikiTree elf, right? So the forest elf from WikiTree. And then we've got Jenny Hawran from Like Herding Cats Genealogy. Hello, Jenny.
Hello, how are you?
I'm glad that you're here. We've got Dr. Shelley Viola Murphy, our family tree
Hey,
girl,
everybody. Glad to
is
be
here.
here tonight.
I'm glad you're here too. And last but never least is Melissa Barker, our archive lady. Hello, Melissa.
Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Great. And
Good.
you?
I'm doing good. It's hot, but I'm doing good.
Oh my gosh, is it hot? Yes,
Yes.
yes. Luckily, we've all got air conditioning, right? That's working.
Yes, hope so.
But I want to introduce Eowyn's our special guest tonight because she's got a great announcement for us that she's got a brand new job title, I guess, an adventure that she's doing. And I want to introduce Angie Breidenbach. Did I say it right? I did. I said it right. Okay. And
Good
she is
job.
from the International Institute of Genealogical Studies. And I thought, Eowyn's got this new announcement from this job. And then I realized we've never talked about them on GenFriends. So I said, this is the opportunity to have you both come and talk to us about what it's all about. What can you learn? How does it work? And those types of things. So whoever wants to go first between Eowyn and Angie, just
Well, thank you.
Eowyn, why don't you tell us about your new position and then we can move on to Angie about any questions anybody might have.
First, let me just reiterate that I am still also the WikiTree Forest Elf.
That's right.
People have panicked. There's no need for panic. It's okay. I'm still the WikiTree Forest Elf. Um, but
And she's still
now
a panelist on GenFriends when
I'm
she can come.
still,
It's just been hard.
it's been like a year or two, but yes, I'm gonna do better. Um, but I just recently was brought on as an executive assistant for the International Institute of Genealogical Studies, of which Angie is the director. Um, and I'm really excited. It's a whole new, space in the genealogy world with uh, what seems like another great community. And I'm excited to go there and learn more about everything that's happening there and, just be a part of something else that seems as great as WikiTree. I'm so lucky and blessed. Like, seriously. This was just an opportunity that came along at just the right time with, I'm gonna say, just the right people. So it's good. Right now I'm helping with things like updating course material that'll be online and printed, and just different things like that. So um yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes.
Have we got plans for her?
Well, Angie, why don't you tell us a little bit about, for people that don't know what this institute is all about? There's so many institutes and learning opportunities out there. Tell us about this and what makes this one different from all the others.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. And Eowyn, we think you are not only a great WikiTree elf, but we love your little magic behind the scenes for us too.
No, thanks.
Yeah, I see big things in her future. Um, so the International Institute of Genealogical Studies, found at genealogicalstudies.com, is the only trade school in the world for genealogy studies. You get your credentials and they are international. So once you've earned your credentials, you don't have to do anything else, but we strongly encourage more continuing education. So for instance, you're teaching at IGHR right now, Cheri, and there's, of course, many other what they call institutes, but really they're like week-long or short-term things. For
Right.
the International Institute of Genealogical Studies, you take each course, you do your reading, you do your assignments, you go to your meetings with your instructor, and you get an exam for every single course you take. And when you graduate after 40 courses, you get your postnominal, which is called PLCGS, your
Mhm.
professional learning certificate in genealogical studies. We're registered as a trade school here in the US now. And to give a little background, there was a Canadian school that existed prior. And when I founded the International Institute in January of 2022, I then in March bought the Canadian school and merged all of that and brought all of those students over into the International Institute. And we're in making sure that everybody gets their new credentials and that they have their continuing education opportunities. But we're a trade school so that wherever you are in the world, you can get your credentials to be able to practice in genealogy. We do some genealogical teaching that is not common to some of the other schools. So we more partner with other schools rather than compete with. We don't consider any school a competition because we offer things differently than other schools do. If you were to go to, say, one of the universities or something like that, you might learn methodology or family history, but when you come to our school, you have the additional opportunity to learn Canadian, American, Australian, Eastern European, German. I'm going to be in trouble because I won't remember them all.
Ireland, Scotland.
Yeah, and from there we also are expanding. So we have a new specialty studies, which is our master's level now. Because we're a trade school and we're not a university, we do not confer degrees. We award your credentials, your certificates, as any other trade school would do. And so when you graduate with your trade school credentials, you then can continue on and get your master's if, say, we partner with Strathclyde, or if you want to go to another university.
Laura. Now, just because, people can get confused about different credentialings, this is not a certified genealogist credential, and it's your credential from ICAP Gen. So I just wanted to make that clear that they're all different.
It is really important to understand the difference. So for going through our school, you have boots on the ground. You are a professional genealogist. A lot of what you get from the other programs, say you want to go get a certified genealogist from or ICAP Gen, those are very specified and much more, I don't want to use the word myopic, it's not quite the right word, more specific type of certification, whereas ours are international for business purposes. So when you graduate from us, you have your credentials, which are certificates, and you are a certified genealogist, but we don't use the letter CG. We use CGS, and ours are more full scope versus only methodology or only a specific location. So it's a broader scope. And yet, yeah, you can specialize as well.
I just wanted to make sure because people are going to ask.
Definitely going to ask.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure we got that out of the way. Laura's here. Laura Hedgecock is here from Trust of Memories. Hello, Laura. I'm glad you were able to join us.
I'm sorry I'm late. My youngest very seldom actually calls. And I was like, hey.
Priorities, priorities. It's okay. Do you have a
Eowyn,
question?
congratulations.
Thank you.
This is exciting.
It is exciting.
Well, let me turn it over to you panelists to ask questions. Shelley, you've got a question?
I think along with the clarification on the certification professional, it might be good to explain the trade school because you referenced that several times, and I think the audience you do automatically think of business. And so if you would elaborate on that, I think that will help listeners also to connect, to separate certification, professional credentials.
Well, you don't separate certification and professional because they are one and the same.
Sure.
But I'm glad you asked that question because my understanding is that, say, in the UK, they think of a trade school for somebody who's just out of high school.
Right.
Trade school here in the US or internationally really means that you have gone to school for a specific subject. And for instance, you're not doing underwater basket weaving. You're only studying genealogy, the business and the industry of genealogy. And so that's where it becomes a trade school, and that's the definition of trade school versus university or college, that kind of a thing. And it is for anybody who is our youngest student that we've ever had was 14, and he's
Oh
now
my goodness.
he's been doing his studies in conjunction with high school. And when he
Wow.
graduates from high school, he's going to be close to having his full credentials for
Wow.
becoming a professional genealogist. We have quite a few college students that also do it in tandem because in college you learn family history and it's a wonderful thing, but you don't
Yeah.
necessarily know how to run it as a business per se.
Right.
So when you come to our trade school, you learn those things so that when you walk out our door, which is a virtual door, you know how to run your business as a genealogist as well. And then trade school in for continuing education. So a lot of people want to change their career. And
Mhm.
traditionally, we've got a lot of people that are maybe going into they've retired from one career and they want to do something in their retirement, whether part-time, full-time, whatever. And so they do often come to us. So we have quite a huge range of students. We also have a lot of students that come for continuing education that they might be doing genetic DNA and genetic genealogy. And so we have FBI, CIA, Royal Mounted Police out of Canada. We've got detective
Wow.
police departments and things like that. And they know how CODIS works, but
Yeah.
CODIS for as much opportunity as what genetic genealogy does. And
Mhm.
several students are actually working in the field, working with police, working with the courts, working with the Toronto police, one who's gotten herself quite famous up in Toronto, solving cold cases up there. Shout out to Lauren Robillard. And then we have another one of our students and here in the US, and we have another student in Canada that Christina is doing repatriation of World War II fallen soldiers.
Yeah.
And both,
I do that as well.
yeah,
It's a fabulous work. It's a fabulous thing to do. Yeah. That's great.
so fulfilling. And I just watched a documentary last night with my husband about a World War II soldier who crashed in the Sierra Nevadas, and they
Hmm.
only found him. And so I was listening and I'm saying to him, I can't help myself. I'm watching somebody do something with DNA or with genealogy on TV. And I said, well, now, really, sweetie, that's just drama. It would be.
It actually, people actually do this, they actually help find those soldiers. So that's funny. Does anybody else have a question? Jenny.
Hi. What is I'm actually a student. I've been taking some classes and I love it
Oh,
because yeah, I do. I love it because it's
great.
just it's a pace that I can keep up with and I know it's there and I can go back when I know I have time to take another group of classes and but my question is curriculum, like what is that process of maybe going back, how did you come up with the process of what kind of curriculum to include and do you have a board, do you have how does that work?
Curriculum is quite complicated. So let's see. The easy answer is it starts with methodology. Methodology is the foundation for all genealogical research and studies. And once we have our students trained in methodology, as you know, Jenny, which I still would have pronounced your name wrong.
That's okay.
Expand to, I like to do student advising so that I know a little bit of the student's background as well, because we'll expand to what the student's interest or need is and go from there. And when we start to get a lot of demand for something, we actually have a program in development that I'm going to keep secret. I probably shouldn't have said it, because there's demand. And so we are developing it, but what I didn't want to do was have everybody want to get into it right away, and then we don't have all the classes ready yet. But it'll be our 16th program because our 15th program, the specialties program, is coming out this fall. And the way that we developed that one, which makes it a little easier to talk about, is that I've noticed over time in genealogy that we do gravitate toward a particular specialty. And so one of the specialties that we are developing is for religious research, but it's international religious research, because what you run into is that just because one person was in one particular religion in your family doesn't mean that that's the way it was all through time. And when they've hopped the pond a few times, and like I had an ancestor that hopped the pond back and forth between the US and Scotland, and trying to figure out, well, what church? And then you go back and you're in the Covenanters area of Scotland where, oh, maybe nobody went to church. They went out in a field and then somebody raised
Yeah.
children. You really needed to, especially in the UK and Ireland, you really need to understand that, and colonial America, that sometimes people were married in churches that they didn't really attend or believe in. And so becoming a specialist in religious records and religious research internationally allows you to offer something that you might be particularly good at or very interested in. So our specialties are coming out in that direction, and they're a master's level. You'll need to have either your family history bachelor's or your PLCGS with the International Institute to be able to go on into those specialties, because it wouldn't do you any good to go into the specialties if you didn't have your methodology, if you didn't have enough under your belt in understanding what that is. But then you can turn around and offer that as a niche business. But within that as well, we'll do some student advising, because your background may be in a particular arena. So, for instance, mine has been in not only travel, but in developing businesses. This is the third one for me. And so I can uniquely help people when it comes to developing their professional side of their business and their tech side of their business. And then I have done a lot of travel, so I can uniquely help people if they want to go into tourism, if they want to do some tours with genealogy and things like that. It's a little different than what somebody who might have been an accountant and maybe they want to go into being a professional witness for courts and being able to do air tracing. That accountant background actually comes in pretty handy. So it just depends on what your background is and how we might move you into your specialty niche. And then the desire that I hear over and over from students is what's going to make me think, "Oh, I need to develop something there." But with Eowyn, Eowyn's working under Sudha Groot right now. Sudha Groot is our director of student curriculum. And she's very exacting, and we need people that are very exacting to make sure we get it right. And then we turn it over to our students, like Jenny probably knows. If you find a typo or you find an error, I want to know, because we're going to go delve in and find out what's wrong and fix it. We want to make sure everything we put out there is correct. So we're in constant update and development.
The question, and Jenny sparked me thinking about this. So you have several classes, and I see that you got 15, I guess it's course credits for the methodology. The actual course, what is the time? Because it's all virtual. Is there the presentation, the homework, the stuff? What is the time frame for the average time frame for a person to complete one course? Because I believe you said 40 courses is to complete to get the PLC. And so what is the typical time frame?
I'm so glad you asked that, because that is one that confuses people a lot, because they're used to going to like a 1 week or a 2 week, institute.
Right.
So all of our classes range from 18 to 48 hours. And what that means is that if you're in an 18-hour class, you have 18 hours is an average time it takes. Of course, everybody's reading and comprehension and stuff is at different levels. But then you've got about 7 to 8 weeks for any 18-hour course. When we start getting into a 20-hour or 24-hour course, we start adding on a little bit more time. And then we have another thing that's unique to us, which is Grace and Mercy for Adults who are adulting. That is
Oh,
But
that's a good thing.
very good thing.
So basically it's just 18 to 20 hours per
18
course.
Yes. And then you've got about 7 to 8 weeks on average. And then, of course, we've got a few classes that are like 12 weeks, 26 weeks. It depends on the course. Most people don't need all that time in weeks, because you can kind of scoot through at your own pace, as Jenny was mentioning. And if you wanted to, for instance, Methodology 1, that is such a fun, simple, easy class, but it fills in a lot of what I call Swiss cheese holes. When you're walking along, you know what you know, and then you go whoop, right through it. Then we get to fill in those Swiss cheese holes for you. And so Methodology 1, you have 7 weeks. It's about 18 hours, but I have a lot of people finish it in 1 week.
Okay, well, that was my next one. So 7 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks is the course. Are they meeting with their instructors maybe once a week, twice a week? What is the pattern when you're doing your own pace, or is everything recorded and then there's interaction with the instructor or the other classes? So I'm trying to make sure I understand.
As one of our exams might be A, B, C, D, some of or all of the above.
Okay.
What that means is that in Methodology 1, we offer for our entire 15 courses of methodology, we offer monthly meetings that you can go into.
Okay.
But on our calendar, once you've got your student account, you can go back up to 3 years and watch any previous meetings free of charge. That's a
Oh,
benefit.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's-
And then if you are in, say, Methodology 1 takes about 18 hours. I would say Methodology 2 is more the 18 to 20 hours because it's a little bit longer course.
Mhm.
And then when you get into something like methodology, when we do the number system, we use the collegiate number system. So you go ME 101, ME 102. You get into ME 103, you want to slow down and take your time because we're going to start teaching you some technology. And while you're in technology, we're going to teach you things like Boolean logic. We're going to teach you some of those fuzzy things that you're going to be looking for and how to do some different searches. We're going to teach you that particular course. There's actually 4 courses that specifically we teach you with that. So even though you get your monthly methodology meeting, you can also go to the internet skills meeting monthly. So that's a second one you can go to, or which I suggest everybody does, go backward in time and keep looking because we were talking earlier, Cheri, about sometimes people don't necessarily know how to maybe use their computer or how those skills come across that technology. We do a little bit of, and I hate to use the word remedial because if you've never learned it before, it's not remedial.
Right.
Exactly.
It's new.
It's new to you. Yeah, yeah.
Use that.
Oh, Melissa? Sorry.
Yeah.
And-
Ewan knows me, and knows probably what I do professionally. Angela, I'm a archivist. I work in an archives every day. I've been a genealogist for 35 years, professional for 21 years. And I've been teaching and speaking and writing for 10 years, all that. But I'm always interested in institutes or anything that you're trying to get a professional degree of any kind. How are you handling archives? If you're virtual, I'm concerned sometimes about these institutes because especially if it's all virtual, it's in the archives researching. And so as an archivist and someone who teaches about researching in archives and archived records that are not online, manuscript collections, family collections, things that you have to put your hands on to know how to research in them. And so what do you have anything in your courses, like I said, I teach and stuff as well and other things. I'm going to be doing SLIG. I've done SLIG. I'll be doing SLIG again next year. But anyway, I'm just interested in that aspect of it because something I'm very passionate about that I teach on.
What a fabulous question. We can only teach the book learning side. We have to tell you to go to an archive, right?
Sure.
Tell you to make friends with your archivist.
Yes.
Take them a cookie. We teach about using proper care for the archive material, making sure, does that archive require you to leave everything outside, carry the pencil and a piece of paper? Can you take in your computer? Can you take pictures? How do you ask about those kinds of things? So we teach the general genealogy and ethical rules about working within an archive. And then every single country group that we teach has their own unique archival systems. And so we actually have gotten archivists to write those classes for us. And so then if you were to go into, say, the Library and Archives Canada, into our Canadian certificate, you're going to have actual classes that teach that. And internationally, we call it courses, which is so weird for me as an American. I just want to say class all the time.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But we teach where those things are located. We give specific location identifiers. We teach what are the rules of that particular archive. How do you find that archive? How do you connect and communicate with the archivist there? If you can't go in person, how do you hire another genealogist to go in person for you? You know, those kinds of things. So we do teach very in depth about each of the archives for the different record types of collections in the different countries. But then, you know, we do suggest that people go. And then as a genealogist myself, I've gone to several different archives between the US and Scotland. And so it's really fun to actually do that for after having taken the classes. And then
one of the record source I'm extremely passionate about are manuscript collections, because I find that over my professional career that is the one collection that most genealogists don't know that much about. I don't know if it's because they're intimidated by them, they don't know how to navigate them, you know. And in Canada and Europe, they're called Fons collections. And so, but you know, in any course, I don't care, courses, classes, I don't care what it is, I'm always passionate about teaching about manuscript collections, the ins and outs, you know, how to read a finding aid, how to read a finding aid and find out if there's something in the collection that pertains to your family, how to find records, because most of your family's records that are in manuscript collections are not going to be where they're supposed to be. So how do you find them?
Exactly.
Right.
That's a
And so,
good
you know,
point,
but
Melissa.
you know, I'll just stop here. I just, you know, my suggestion to you is that from an archivist standpoint, you know, I think it's great that you're teaching how to them to research in archives, but you've got to teach them about manuscript collections and those Fons collections, like I said, in Europe and Canada.
yeah, we do. Those are in
That's so good.
those are particularly in those groupings, right?
Good.
So each area has so unique
They do.
aspects to it. So
Yes.
many, left out a word there, so many unique aspects that you cannot teach how to research in an American archive and then turn around and go to an Irish archive. It's very
Right.
Different.
Yeah.
we
Okay.
actually process of rewriting our advanced level of Irish certificate because the Irish archives just changed everything. And
Oh
then
gosh.
and we're that happened last year. The LAC, the Library and Archives Canada, changed everything. And then, of course, we have websites over here between Ancestry, Family Search, and then,
Oh,
you know, National Archives.
constantly changing. Yes.
Constantly changing. So Claire Bradley, who's our director of Irish Studies, had just turned in almost everything and was working on some new classes for us. And she went, halt! And we turned classes to her so that she could fix the changes that had happened in the Irish archives for us. And so, yeah, we get detailed. And occasionally, I think we could probably see a student's eyes cross, but it's really important that they have it. And I think best case scenario, they go through it, they get it, they've heard it once, they've read it once, and then they have that course material as a reference material when they go and they do it. And then another thing that we like to do is if somebody is traveling to a different country, we like them to meet our mentoring professors that live there, because I know we're trying to match up a couple different people in a couple different countries, but I know Brenda has recently retired, but Brenda was working with us for quite a long time, and she's met up with several students because she liked to do speaking on cruises. And so if she was going to a port of call, she'd tell students where she was going to be, and people would go there and meet her and have coffee, whatever. And I do the same whenever I'm traveling somewhere. I say, hey, I'm going to be in wherever. And, you know, if you can meet for coffee, and it's really personal and fun. And then you get this time, like they get to ask you anything they want to ask. And I really don't care. I want them to ask me everything.
Laura,
Okay,
you've
I
been
have another one.
so, wait a minute. Laura
Go
has been
ahead.
so
No, go ahead. Laura, where, oh, there she is up top now.
I probably moved because I put my hand down.
Uh-huh.
You may have covered this with what Jenny was talking about. So I was looking at your website. I see all the packages, but you can click on and you can see all the classes. Do people have to kind of proceed through the packages in a very orderly fashion, or can a genealogist say, wow, this would be a fun class for me? I might just want to learn about, because you had one on like video skills for personal historians.
Yeah.
Or that somebody could just say, oh, this is a big deficit in my skill set. Can I just take that class?
Meaning you've got a Swiss cheese hole?
Yes, exactly.
Yes. You can mix and match if you need to. For people that are not, say, 35 years in the industry or something like that, we do want them to progress because they don't know anything from, the beginning to the end. But for instance, I spoke with someone who was a forensic biologist today, and starting her in DG 101, which is Intro to Genetic Genealogy, is probably foolish. So in some of those cases, we do take transfer credits if you've gone to another school for it. We want to make sure they match up to what we teach, because sometimes we teach more. Sometimes it takes 2 classes to match up to one of ours. That's something important to look at too. But in the case of somebody who wants to fill in a Swiss cheese hole, it's perfect. You can come and do it as a continuing education class. And it's the same class that somebody else might be taking if they're going through it step by step.
So that would also be a good way for somebody to see if it was for them, like
Yeah.
how they were handling the course load and the
Yes.
time commitment
That's a
and
good
things
point.
like
That's what I
that.
did.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and to
Is that
add
what
to
you
that,
did?
Yeah, I started taking classes like when it was still national, or when with the national
When it was the
genealogic, the
That's-
Canadian one.
Canadian.
I can never say that correctly, but yeah, with the Canadian one, and I just wanted to see what it was about, and so I just picked a class that sounded really interesting to me, and just to see kind of how it worked and if the format was something that worked for my brain, and so yeah, that's how I got into it.
Now, tell me though, Eowyn, what do you think of the difference between the old website and the new website?
I will say the new website is a lot better. The fonts are better. It's easier but yeah, it's definitely, and it's more that I will say the old website, it was not as user friendly.
Right.
You had to kind of just experiment and hopefully get to where you were trying to go. But the new one is a lot more user friendly. So I'm in a class right now. I'm doing methodology 2. I'll get through it someday. But yeah, so I like the new site quite a lot.
We've got her working more than full time between the 2 jobs. She's straddling a fence there.
Oh, I'm
I
sure
love it.
she is.
I actually have 3 jobs, but who's counting?
Oh,
Okay.
I've got a question. Let me
Go
just
ahead. I'll go after you. Go ahead.
Okay, so I've got a question that everybody wants to know, but nobody wants to ask. How because
much?
it seems how much exactly does it go by hours, packages? How does it work?
Oh, that's a great question. So the average cost of a class is $119 US, but there's some classes that are 129, some that are 160, and the new specialties master's levels will be 199, just so that gives you kind of the spread. The way it works is you can buy one course at what you would call retail value if you walk in a store and you pull it off the rack, right?
Mhm.
But if you were to buy a package, you can buy 3, 4, or 5 courses and you get a small discount, and it happens automatically in your shopping cart. You watch it and it's kind of fun. It goes ting, 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 ting. And then if you do 6 or more classes, you get a big package discount. And so you end up getting 2 to 2.5 classes, depending on the program that you're in, literally free because of the discount that comes into play. So by the time you've done you could do it one by one by one, and we do have people that do that because they're nervous of their time commitments, or they have, like me, they were sandwiched and they had children at home and they had elders they were caring for.
Oh yeah.
And we have a lot of people doing that, or they're wanting to switch careers, but they have to work full time in the career they're still in. So
Yes.
they do that. And they just take it as they get little breaks between things, and they just do the 119 a course or whatever the course is. And other people know, all right, I'm committed. I've taken the course that I wanted. I really love this. I'm in. and they'll just buy the whole 40 course package. So your range is going to be 119 for one course to it's in about the we have one package that's around 1768, I think, if I'm going off the top of my head. And then if you were to do like a 40 course package, you're doing right around $5,000, and that's right in the numbers with getting your textbooks. And there's for programs, for most of the 40 course programs, you're looking at like 5 to 7 textbooks. It depends on, like, if you're doing the Canadian, there's 2 extra Canadian courses. They have 16 in the country program versus 14 in the US program, or 13 in the Eastern European program. So you have some that have textbooks that go across everything for methodology, but you don't start running into the textbooks until you get to the 5th class in the methodology level. And then I like to consider the textbooks that you're getting are very common to what you would buy even anywhere, and they are going to be your reference library that you're building at home. So it's important to be aware that when you're buying a textbook, we're not normally asking you to buy something that's a once and done. We want you to have this reference library for you to be able to work within yourself and for other people going forward. Did that answer the question?
Yes, I think so. I think so. Shelley, what did you want
Yeah,
to
and I'm looking at specifically, well, a couple things, and so a couple questions for clarification. So looking at, and I'm saying the Scottish certificate. So I'm looking at this and I'm trying to understand, and this is also the one Michael Haight used to be with, right? In
Yes.
Canada. Okay. Okay. So if I'm looking at all of these courses, they're specifically, and they're also called something records.
Right.
Coming back to a little bit from Melissa fired this off in my head when she talked about manuscript. And so everything is on record. So this is all virtual.
Currently, and yes, we are virtual, but if you're going to go, we teach you how to go to the archives and search them.
Okay. Well, that's where I'm getting at because I'm not sure I can grab that from just looking. If I'm looking at all these different things for Scotland and all these different records, and I'm not going yet, and I've been there and stuff, but I'm just saying, is there an interactive type component? Or maybe I should look at Jenny. Are you all on your own with support? Or are you interacting with any other students or instructors? I guess
Yes.
that's where I'm kind of going.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let Angie answer, but I'll just pop in for a second with that. I'm doing the American Records certificate course. So, and I bought a package of, I think it was 5, and
Okay.
I have a full-time job. So I
Yes.
bought this package like, I don't know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever. And what I like about it is it is self-paced, but I also you schedule your classes, and then when the class is going to be coming up and I look at my schedule, I have the ability to move that class myself to
Oh,
maybe a
okay.
later
Good
date, which
point.
is great. But
Gotcha.
while I'm taking the class, what I like about it is that it is not interactive in the way you're thinking that you're all in the same room. It is a
Yeah.
self-paced kind of thing, but you have there's like message boards that
Okay.
you're posting your answers to, so that you have that interaction. And then, like Angie was saying, that there's a monthly opportunities. So no, you're definitely not at they've got a little chat on there. I mean, they get back to you right away if you have a question about anything.
That's what I
So
needed to hear,
yeah, no,
because
definitely.
I'm looking at all these records and I thought, oh my gosh, especially when we're dealing internationally. And again, I'm doing a lot of Scottish research and stuff like this. And it's like, okay, but if I didn't have, say, background and been doing this a while, this would probably scare me a little bit, not knowing what I'm going to get in there. So I think they've got, by the record, I think this is good. That, you know what I'm saying, and
Yeah.
how they're doing it. And then you go in and just like Melissa, when she talked about the manuscript, I was at a historical society today and actually stood at the door where all is full of manuscripts and stuff. And I said, this is the room we have to deal with because they don't even know it's millions of stuff up in there. And only one person knows who was the only librarian who retired, and she was the librarian for 32 years. And I named the library after her when I was board chair. But what I'm saying is, we got to set up that course locally for people to come in. How do you go into that room? That, you know, what's not just what's in there, but what do you do once you're in there?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I also find that a lot of teaching places, I don't care what it is, you know, manuscript collections are way down on the list to teach.
Yeah.
You know, and they teach census and vital, and I get that. But you know, I think to me personally, and because I work in it every single day, and I have genealogists come into my archives every single day, and they've done all of the census and vital records and deed and search, and they go, well, what else is there? And I'm like, wait a minute, let me tell you
that
something.
room.
You know, and so I just feel I wish some of these teaching institutions would put manuscript collections third, fourth on the list to teach.
You know, I'm adding that to Maggie, right? You know, I'm doing that because I'm in this conversation right now because it's not anything we've tapped into.
I've talked to professional genealogists, Shelley, believe it or not, they go, oh, I never even heard of manuscript collections. I'm like, how could you be a professional genealogist and not even heard or researched in manuscript collections or use them?
Just didn't have to because it was given to them in other ways in the typical records. But I think that's another uniqueness. And again, they have it built in. But I think it's something that has to be brought out even more so. And I'm telling you, and this just had that today. And so what a coincidence. It just made me think, nope, we got to do this.
And
so
you know, another
Melissa.
thing that I like is you saying that, say for you, Shelley, if you did the Scottish, when you go there, and you're going to go into whatever archives, where it might be, there's somebody there who's been teaching and putting together these classes that can meet you at the door and say, okay.
I have a buddy in Edinburgh, and that's who I deal with. So I'm not going anywhere without taking Pauline Jarvis with me.
Exactly. So I think that's kind of a fun thing too, is to know that.
To make a connection too when you do taking these classes and then establish some connection. And I think, Angie, you kind of made that a little bit, talking about knowing somebody over there and this and other. So I've been lucky.
That's a great part.
We love about having the international school is that you do like Jenny and like Eowyn and like all of us here, you meet other genealogists who live in parts of the world, and you subcontract for them to go into it wherever you can. If you travel. Manuscripts are some of my very favorites because all these books behind me that I've written have been researched in here in Montana, in the Montana room, where I've literally read manuscripts and learned the personalities of the people that are in the books. And I think without the story of genealogy, all we have is facts, which to the rest of the world is boring. If you sit at the dinner, people don't want to know when they were born and when they died. They want to know the dash between, right? They want to know the story.
Absolutely.
And there's information in diaries and scrapbooks and letters that you cannot find anywhere else.
And they're never going to be digitized.
No.
There are some archives that are trying to, digitize their higher level that they think everybody's going to want, but there's stuff in there nobody is ever going to digitize. But we have talked a long time, and we don't like to keep everybody for a long time. So what I'm going to ask, is there any more questions from the panel?
I have one more.
When?
I just want to know, what are the qualifications for someone to be able to teach a course?
Oh, great question.
Thank you. That is a great question.
Great question.
Asking for a friend.
Well, I tell you, we have a couple different ways that we teach. We actually have 3 or 4 different ways, but for the most common, to be able to write a course, you need to have the credentials, whether that is your college degree or your PLCGS or your CG, something that gives you the credentials that we can believe that what you're saying has been researched and is true. And we do that. We check every course right now. Shelley, you're going to love hearing this. We have a brand new Scottish course coming out, and probably within about a month or so. I can't give you the exact date because I'm doing the final edit on it right now, and I'm on page 64 of 97. And then it goes from me over to Sue and Eowyn, and they are going to put it into its final format for all the stuff I messed up while I was editing. And then they're going to online. And online, it goes little by little by little. We use Moodle as the management program, so it's very common around the world for people to understand. So for somebody who's going to teach a course, so Eowyn, if you wanted to teach a course in WikiTree right now, you're qualified. But if you
Because all
want
you've got your qualifications is that you're the elf.
I've only run it for 12 years as the forest.
Exactly.
I was gonna say, you're the elf.
But if you were going to do advanced Scottish genealogy, you're not qualified, right?
I am very not qualified for that yet.
So I would need somebody like Morag Piers, who is our director of Scottish Studies. She graduated from the University of Strathclyde. Strathclyde is a partner with us, so our PLCGS students can go on over and get their master's degree there. That
I
kind
know
of
some people that have done that. Yes.
They accept ours as bachelor equivalent. We've got some other universities that do that as well. So it depends on your strength and your credentials for what you're going to teach. And so we have had some do one particular course out of a program and some do entire programs. So it just depends on what it is. If you were a website developer, I would definitely have you working on a website course for us right now because there's been so many changes. I want to update it. So it really depends on that. So in addition
Great question, Eowyn.
great question. And it's and I don't turn away questions like that either. Anybody can ask me. And Eowyn, in fact, you sent me a note, gosh, months and months and months ago. Hey, if you ever have a thought about this, I'm interested. I had a thought just about 6 weeks ago.
Yeah,
That's
it was a total whim. I don't do that. Like, I don't just randomly message people and say, like, are you hiring? And she was our guest star for the WikiTree Challenge a while back. And I just really liked her and her energy. And then we crossed paths at Roots Tech. Like a few weeks after that, I just thought, I was gonna ask.
Why not? So, there you go. That's great. How it turned out.
Yeah. Networking is crucial, especially in the genealogy world, right?
Yep. Networking is so important. Anybody else got a question? Yes. Anybody else got a question?
Huge. And I would love to extend an invitation to anybody. The other way that we teach is through our live meetings. And so if you, obviously, manuscripts, Melissa is perfect.
I was going to say, I'm snatching her. No.
Yes, we do bring on guest speakers. And so tonight, while I'm here with you, we actually have Billion Graves, Kathy Wallace doing students. And so we record just like this, and that's another way that we can do it. We have a third way that will be announced this fall.
So we have to wait for that.
Yeah, we've got to wait for that. Well, thanks to the panel for being here. And I always like to ask our guests, is there anything that we didn't ask that you would like to tell us?
We do offer 30-minute mentoring sessions as well. So if you're in your courses and you're stuck and you just can't figure your way through for some reason, you just drop a note on the chat app. You 90% of the time get me. Sometimes you might get Eowyn, or you might get Sue, or you might get John, but they're usually covering for me. And then we match you up to the professor you need. And then it's $30 for a half-hour session. It's one-on-one. And you can ask them anything you need, whether it is on your own personal project that they're an expert in, or whether it is in your courses that you're just stuck, that kind of a thing. If it's something simple, and I can do it quickly, I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to just say, yes, here's where I want you to go look. Here's what I want you to do. Do you need a phone call? Because I'm generally, I generally know what's going on in the school. But if you need something like an archive and the archives have just changed in Ireland or Scotland or Canada, then I'm probably going to pair you up for a 30-minute tutoring or mentoring session with one of our mentoring professors. If you need something out of Israel, I'm going to send you to Hedgecock-Treasure so that you can go figure out, your Jewish ancestry or something like that.
Right.
You can hop the pond from America to Israel. So there's a lot of things that we do that we didn't touch on tonight, but fun with you all. Thank you.
Well, I will have the link. This will go out on YouTube, and we'll put the link there. We'll put the link in our blog post, and so everybody will know how to find you and be able to ask you more questions, know how to get in touch with either one of you. So thank you so much for coming and telling us. I've seen your booth at Roots Tech. I've seen, I've heard about you. I know some people that have taken the courses and have really enjoyed them. So this was perfect when Eowyn announced her new position here. I thought, oh, we have got to have you two come on and talk to us about it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And remember, if people watching, if they want to ask any questions, we'll have the link, but you can always ask the questions on the blog or on the YouTube, and we can send them off and get you an answer. So we can do that too. So with that, we will say goodbye, and we will see you next time on Gen Friends. Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.